Hello YouTube, back once again with my film reviews, and tonight I saw the new Quentin Tarantino film, The Hateful Eight, and well, plot of this movie, in case you don't know, it's about 8 people who end up being stuck inside a remote cabin inn with each other, trying to wait out a snowstorm, and then as the day goes on, they're all questioning who's aligned with who and who can they trust, and things just get crazy from there. So, I was really excited for this movie. I love Quentin Tarantino movies for the most part, and super excited to see this one. And let me say this right now about The Hateful Eight. This is truly like no other film experience I've had for a movie, because well, just the framing and everything about this movie is so out there. Not just about the 70 millimeter film this movie was shot in. This movie split into parts. Like, there's either 5 or 6 separate chapters. Like, it's split into chapters. Like, literally, like, it cuts to a screen just like chapter 1, chapter 2, and as different characters and different scenes happen. So there's that. There's the fact there is an intermission to this movie. I was literally, the moment like the screen went black, like at the halfway mark, and said intermission on big letters, I was literally expecting like that just to be a joke, and then like 1 second later for it to for the movie to keep going. But no, like I just like sat there waiting for like an entire second, like checking my watch, and I was just like, no, this isn't. Like, I was like waiting a minute. I was like, no, nothing's happening. I guess this really is an intermission. And it was, and that is just so interesting. Never had that happen with a movie before. There was no trailers to this movie. I'm not sure if that was just the movie theater I was at, but I highly doubt it was, because I was at an AMC theater. So usually they like to show their trailers, but like there's no trailers to this, so I'm pretty sure there's no trailers to this movie. Just if you get there early, there's just an overture where there's just I'm pretty sure that's where I'm thinking of overture, where there's just a screen of just an image with just a still image with an ominous score playing in the background as you wait for your movie to start. That's it. Then the movie just starts. Then it just the movie starts. There's no trailers, none of that. And as the film was big marketing is, yes, it was shot in 70 millimeter film, and all I can say, if you can see this in 70 millimeter film, like, I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it going into there, but I gotta say, it is a very visually interesting experience, and it is just really interesting to see a movie in 70 millimeter film. If you see this, you will think, like, I have never seen a movie that looks quite like this, so I just gotta give credit first to the film experience, because sorry about that, because it's truly like nothing else I've seen before. That's great. That I also got, so the entire experience was fantastic to this film. Other goods to this movie, well, the cast is amazing in this movie, The Hateful Eight. Samuel Jackson and Kurt Russell as the 2 bounty hunters are just as badass and likable as ever, especially Samuel Jackson. Who doesn't like Samuel Jackson? Jason Lee as the outlaw that Kurt Russell is transporting. She is just amazingly batshit insane and just a horrible just wicked human being this entire movie, and she just revels in it. She is wonderful, Jennifer Jason Lee. Like, she has very few lines, so like anytime she says something, like, it does feel so effective that she is willing to talk. So she was great. There was Tim Roth and Walton Goggins were also in this film. These two really, really ham it up. Like, they're really, like, you can just tell they're having the time of their lives in their roles, and they are just such a joy to watch from beginning to end. Especially Tim Roth with his very British accent was very silly and it wasn't silly. It was always funny. I was never annoyed by Tim Roth's accent in this movie, so that was hilarious. Bruce Dern is also fantastic, doing his Bruce Dern thing, just seeming very sad and drunk and tired and kind of disinterested. He's just hilarious with his part, and all the cast was just amazing to this movie. The movie, like most Tarantino films, know this going into it. It is hilarious. This movie is hysterical. There is a monologue given by Samuel Jackson at one point of this movie that is the one of the funniest, definitely the funniest scenes I have ever seen in a movie this year. It's maybe like one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a movie all my life. It was just so weird and so funny and just, oh god, I'm not gonna say what it is, but if you saw this movie, you know what I'm talking about when I say that. This movie, even though it's hilarious, it's also incredibly intense from beginning to end, just for the fact that everyone doesn't know who they can trust. This movie is, you probably heard, it's not a lot of hearing, news about like how there's like no violence in this movie for the first half. That is true, but just know when the violence starts happening, it is incredibly violent. So for those who we're afraid they're gonna get their Tarantino fix of their violence Tarantino fix. Don't worry, their violence is great and it is just brutal in this movie. And like all Tarantino films, this movie is just so out of its goddamn mind. I cannot help but just love watching it. So that is great. The cinematography of this movie is wonderful, and not just the 70mm, even though that does help. There are just tons of beautiful shots of the snowy frontier in this movie, just fantastically shot from beginning to end. That, and even though most of the movie takes place in the same cabin, there's just so many different shots, like in different parts of the cabin that like you don't ever get bored being in this cabin. You always feel like you never feel like this cabin's like a really flat background. You always feel there's so much character to this place, so that was wonderfully done. This movie, like I said, is fantastically and brutally violent, and like I said, it's somehow incredibly funny while watching it. It may come to the fact that these 8 people are kind of like the worst people ever, and you kind of get caught up in their sick, twisted humor. I mean, the first part of this movie, like a good part of it, is just watching Kurt Russell beat the shit out of Jason Leigh, and it may sound horrible for me to say this, but I thought it was hysterical watching it. I mean, I know it's sick, but these people are just so awful, and some of the ways some of them get killed off, it's disgusting and just miserable to watch, but it's kind of funny at the same time because these people are just so terrible. Like I said, violence is just somehow both hysterical and brutal at the same time. And I always give credit to the Tarantino. He never holds back with his violence. This goes all out. I can't even say it without going into spoilers, so I'm not gonna say it. Just some of the kills in this movie, my god. The ending of this movie, I won't say what it is, but I just wanted to say this. I just wanted to say that, I just want to mention the ending, because this was one of the most strangest, most hilarious, most bizarre things I have ever seen. Like, all 3 emotions at things at once. It's so weird, and I found it so funny, and so just violent, brutally violent at the same time, that I couldn't help but get into it, and I just love the ending. I won't say what it is, but I just wanted to tip my hat to that ending because I thought it was just amazing. And and I'll give this movie credit. I was not at all able to call who was going to betray who, and who was going to survive this movie. This movie did a really good job at keeping you on your toes when it comes to that. So know that going in. It's not. There's some parts when it feels obvious, and it's not going where you think it's going. So that's the good of this movie. What was the bad of this movie, though? Because I did not think this was a perfect movie. Michael Madsen and Demian Bichir, I hope I'm saying that name right, probably not. The last 2 members of the Hateful Eight, they were pretty forgettable. They're just really forgettable, especially compared to everyone else. It's just kind of like, you're just kind of like, okay. They really do not leave an impact on you like everyone else does. So, and it's really noticeable in this movie where everyone else is so memorable and so fantastic that there was not nearly enough Bruce Dern for me, in my opinion. I mean, he is just... He doesn't get many lines, but when he does, he's hilarious. I wish he got more lines, though, because he is just so funny, Bruce Dern, in this movie. And I wish there was way more Bruce Dern than there was. Even though this movie is kind of long, it does drag at points. There are a few points you'll say, like, why wasn't this, like, chopped down a bit? Like, even with the intermission, I feel like this movie should be, like, 10 minutes shorter, 10 to 15 minutes shorter. But, I will say this, I give this movie for giving me an intermission. Probably the runtime didn't annoy me as much as it does for something like Interstellar or, like, The Hobbit, when it was, like, 3 hours, just for the fact it gave me some time to stretch my legs. So there's that, and I thought the climax was somewhat underwhelming to this movie. I mean, it's a good climax, but no, it's not even really that good. Like, I really wanted it to go bigger, and it's just kind of like, it happens, it's kind of lame. I wanted more of an epic shootout between everyone, but you don't get that. It's kind of lame and kind of quick. I'm just like, but those are really my only complaints. But those are, like, considering the fact this is called the Hateful Eight, and 25% of the Hateful Eight aren't really that good. That is a pretty huge problem, and I'll say this about the movie. If I was, sorry, but I just had to reach for something. If I was rating this on like the value of the film alone, it'd probably be an 8 out of 10 for me, but just the experience, the 70mm, the intermission, just everything, I think that boosts my score up to an 4.5 out of 5. I thought this was a fantastic, if you do have the movie-going experience. Without that, I'd say it's more of an 8 out of 10 movie, but if you can see it with the 70mm film, see in theaters, go see it that way, because I do really feel it does improve the movie that way. It does take it a step above where it should be. So, yeah, and another great Tarantino movie. If you like Tarantino, you'll like this. YouTube, as always, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.